Have you ever considered if there's maybe an ancient blueprint, for a really thriving, maybe what some might call a refreshing family life?
Hmm.
Like, what if there were foundational principles from a certain viewpoint that could just cut through all the modern noise and, well, the daily challenges we all face in relationships?
That's a fascinating question.
Well, today we're doing a deep dive into exactly that kind of document. It's titled Rights, Righteousness, and Responsibilities in a Refreshing Family.
Okay.
It's a really interesting text offering a scripturally based perspective on marriage and family dynamics. Now, our mission here isn't to endorse its specific theology,
Right.
but more to act as your guides, helping you understand this document's unique insights and its framework for building, well, stronger, more unified relationships.
Exactly. Our goal today is really to pull out the core ideas from this material, to understand its definitions of commitment, the common frustrations it points out, and the sort of actionable pathways it lays out for building what it considers a truly healthy home. We'll explore what this text actually means by being one flesh.
Okay.
And how specific behaviors, according to its view, can either, build up or really break down family unity.
So get ready to unpack concepts like leaving and cleaving, maybe discover some specific examples of what this document warns against, and uncover its framework for a vibrant family life, one rooted in mutual respect, transparency, and intentional connection, all seen through the lens of this particular source.
Sounds good. Let's dive in.
All right, so the document kicks off with a pretty foundational statement from Genesis 2:8. It emphasizes what it sees as God's initiative. It is not good that the man should be alone.
Right. That's the starting point.
And it highlights this belief that God actively places the solitary into families with the aim of breaking chains of, well, various kinds. This is then put in stark contrast with those who, from its perspective, resist his plan and end up, quote, dwelling in a dry land. That's referencing Psalm 68:6.
And what's really at the heart of that opening idea is that refusing this specific purpose for marriage is seen, in the document's view anyway, as a kind of rebellion.
Rebellion.
Yeah, rebellion against a divine design, leading to this state of dryness. And this dryness, it's not just about being lonely. It seems to imply a lack of spiritual and emotional flourishing.
Right, like something's missing.
Exactly. It does raise an interesting point about, personal agency versus maybe a preordained order, at least within this particular framework.
So if that's the initial setup, the document then points to what it considers the absolute cornerstone for family life.
Okay.
It uses Genesis 2:24, which is echoed in Matthew 19:4-5. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh.
And this idea of cleaving, it's really central here, isn't it?
Seems to be.
The text actually defines it as being joined, glued, and bonded together.
Glued, wow.
Thinking together, planning together, walking together, and sharing one heart, one mind, and one goal. So it's not just about physical proximity or even just emotional connection.
Yeah, it sounds much deeper.
It's presented as this profound holistic unity, a complete integration of two lives. And the leaving part is just as critical.
Right, the leaving.
Truly separating from those old family structures, physically, emotionally, financially too, to form this new primary unit where the marriage itself takes priority over everything else.
And the document doesn't really mince words here. It argues that a man who keeps living like he's still alone, or a woman who, in its view, disregards her role to complement her husband, well, both are considered to be in rebellion against this blueprint.
Right, and living in that same dryness we mentioned, that lack of flourishing.
Exactly.
And if we connect this to the document's sort of bigger picture, it frames partnership in marriage as more than just, companionship. It's also presented as God's protection against immorality. Essentially, it elevates marriage beyond just a personal choice to what it calls a divine mandate.
A mandate. Interesting.
Yeah, serving purposes like purity, deep partnership, protection for both people, preservation of values, and procreation. It sets a very, very high bar for marriage as an institution.
This idea of an unbreakable union is really hammered home by a quote the document uses from Matthew 19:6. What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder. Powerful words, very. And the text explicitly warns against allowing things like ideology, management, circumstance, situation, economy, religious tradition, or self-will to cause division.
Yeah, and that's a profoundly challenging statement today, isn't it? In a world that often prioritizes personal autonomy, personal freedom.
Absolutely.
This document's perspective is firm. It states marriage must not be treated as bondage or something to discard for personal freedom. No matter the feelings of independence, the divine union must not be broken.
So it's really pushing back against that idea of marriage as just a contract.
Definitely. It pushes back hard against the idea that you can just dissolve it if it's not fulfilling you personally anymore. The text really frames it as a lifelong covenant.
Okay. And what about the practical benefits of this union, according to the document?
Well, it brings in Ecclesiastes 4.9:10. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow.
Ah, so it's about strengths and unity, more than just company.
Exactly. It's about foundational strength. And the document uses that powerful, almost cautionary example of Adam failing to lift up Eve after her disobedience.
Right, I remember that part.
To really underscore the critical role of mutual support, faithfulness. It emphasizes that help in marriage, from this perspective, is explicitly reciprocal.
Meaning it goes both ways.
Both ways, absolutely. It even cites 2 Samuel 10.11, where you have these two allies promising to help each other if one gets overwhelmed. That's the model for marital aid. The core insight here is that in this divinely ordained partnership, you are each other's first line of defense, first support system in every part of life.
The text then goes on to paint a picture of what it sees as an ideal partner. It looks at the virtuous woman from Proverbs 31.
Ah, yes.
Whose price is far above rubies. She's described as inspiring trust, doing good, and proactively working to make her husband's life better, healthier, and happier. And the document is clear. This principle of mutual goodness, this proactivity, it applies just as much to the husband within this framework.
Yeah, what's interesting there is the emphasis on proactive goodness. Her thoughts are filled with good planning ways.
Planning, right. Intentional.
Exactly. It's not just about avoiding harm, but actively seeking the other person's well-being. The text also underscores that God made only one man and one woman initially, and therefore marriage must honor God's order.
And what does that order entail, according to this?
Crucially, according to the document, it includes no interference from parents or extended family once that leaving and cleaving has happened.
Ah, setting boundaries.
Very clear boundaries. And it also stresses that the marriage itself shouldn't be neglected for things like, quote, newspapers, television, or personal hobbies, highlighting the need for sustained, intentional investment in the relationship.
Okay, so wrapping up this first part, it really lays out a very specific, almost high-stakes blueprint for the foundation of marriage.
Definitely.
It's deliberate, unified, and what it calls a divinely ordained partnership, which, according to this text, should be free from outside interference and also internal neglect.
A very strong foundation outline there.
Okay, so we've explored the document's ideal, this blueprint for family life. But what happens when, from its perspective, things inevitably go wrong?
Right, because they often do.
The text explains that frustration comes when holiness is missing in the home. Now, this holiness, as the document defines it, it's not just about religious stuff, right?
Yeah. No, not just rituals. It's presented more as an internal state of moral and spiritual integrity that translates directly into virtuous actions within the home.
Like goodness, respect.
Truthfulness, selflessness, exactly. And it then breaks down specific ways this holiness can be absent using a handy acronym, HOLINESS.
An acronym. Okay, let's break it down.
First up, H is for harshness instead of helpfulness.
Harshness.
And the document uses that really vivid example of Job's wife. Remember, instead of comforting Job in his incredible suffering,
Yeah, what did she say?
she said, "Dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse God and die." Pretty harsh.
Wow. Yeah, that's not helpful.
Exactly. The text argues this highlights behavior that's the absolute opposite of helpfulness and compassion you'd expect in a partner.
Okay, so H is harshness. What's O?
O is for opposition instead of oneness.
Opposition.
Here, the document points to Michal, King David's wife. It says she despised him in her heart for dancing, like really exuberantly before the Lord.
Okay, so she didn't approve of his worship style.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And she confronted him with sarcasm, with disdain, creating division and undermining that unity in their home. And this example is fascinating because it shows how even, differences in expressing joy or spirituality, or maybe just personal preferences, can become a source of disrespect and opposition when that foundational oneness isn't there.
So what does it suggest instead?
The document suggests that instead of confrontation, maybe a gentle, inquisitive approach, something like, wow, what makes you so happy, could help maintain unity even when you disagree.
Interesting. Okay. H-O, what's L?
L stands for lying instead of loving.
Lying. That seems straightforward.
Yeah, and the text uses the tragic story of Ananias and Sapphira from the book of Acts.
Yes. They lied about money.
Exactly. It's used as the stark example of deliberate deception within a couple, which, according to the document, completely undermines the foundation of love, trust, and truth that should be paramount.
Okay. H-O-L is next.
I is for importunity without innocence.
Importunity. That's an unusual word.
It is. It basically describes a kind of persistent, pressing behavior that lacks integrity. It's destructive. The main example given is Delilah with Samson.
Right. Nagging him about his hair.
Exactly. The text says she pressed him daily with her words and urged him so that his soul was vexed unto death. It's not supportive persistence. It's presented as this destructive form of nagging or manipulation that just wears down trust and causes deep frustration.
Got it. So destructive nagging, H-O-L-I-N.
N stands for negligence of the new nature.
New nature. What does that mean in this context?
Well, it refers to a spiritual transformation, often understood in Christian traditions as a shift away from a self-centered way of living towards a more compassionate, selfless one.
Okay.
The document suggests friction can arise if one partner neglects this new nature, this divine nature, maybe remaining with what it calls a stony heart, while the other person is actively growing spiritually.
So if they're on different spiritual paths, essentially.
Sort of, or if one isn't embracing that change. It says for peace and harmony to be restored, both need to embrace this change.
Okay. H-O-L-I-N.
E is for endangerment instead of empowerment.
Endangerment. That sounds serious.
It does, and it's surprisingly broad in the document. It talks about avoiding even small acts of carelessness that can endanger one another.
Like what?
Even simple things, like misplacing objects that cause stress or frustration. The point is, instead of causing stress, partners should actively strengthen, protect, and empower the other in all aspects of life.
So fostering safety and capability.
Exactly. Creating a safe harbor, you could say, within the home.
Right. Okay, 2 S's left. Our first S.
First S is self-selling instead of standard spreading.
Self-selling.
Yeah, the document uses the chilling example of King Ahab. It says he did sell himself to work wickedness because Jezebel, his wife, stirred him up.
So negative influence from a spouse.
Exactly. It illustrates partners compromising their own convictions, their courage, maybe their spiritual consecration because of a spouse's negative influence. And this raises an important question from this document's viewpoint about individual conviction within marriage. It says, what matters is not what the wife says, but what Christ says as Lord and Savior.
So ultimate loyalty is elsewhere.
That's the argument. The ultimate concern, it suggests, should be, will this lead me to heaven? Rather than just pleasing your spouse, especially if that pleasing involves moral compromise.
Okay, that's a heavy one. And the final S.
The final S in the acronym is scheming instead of supporting.
Scheming, like plotting.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Rebecca's manipulation of her husband Isaac to make sure Jacob got the blessing instead of Esau, that's the prime example used.
Right, the whole hairy arms thing.
Exactly. It's presented as scheming behavior that undermines trust and fair dealing within the family.
And what's the alternative presented?
Well, the text contends that a supportive wife would have sought God's will with her husband. They would have talked it through, prayed about it, rather than her manipulating the situation behind his back, even if she thought she knew the right outcome.
So partnership over manipulation.
Absolutely. The insight is clear. Scheming destroys rather than builds. Support is what sustains. It's a really powerful call for transparency and true partnership.
Wow. Okay, so that whole holiness section gives us a really detailed and, yeah, sometimes pretty stark picture of how, in this document's view, the absence of this holiness can show up in concrete, often destructive ways, leading directly to deep family frustration.
It paints a very clear cause and effect picture there.
All right, so after identifying all those potential pitfalls, all those ways things can go wrong, the document shifts gears quite dramatically, doesn't it?
It really does. It moves from the problems to the solutions, you could say.
Yeah, it offers this powerful vision for cultivating what it calls a fountain of health in the Christian family, a place where health, holiness, and happiness go together.
Moving from diagnosis to prescription, exactly. Giving a framework to build that refreshing family life it talks about.
And it anchors this vision in what it calls divine promises of health found in Scripture. It cites passages like Exodus 15.26, Psalm 103, Isaiah 53.
Right. And what's fascinating here is that these promises, as presented, aren't just about, not getting sick physically.
No.
They seem to speak to a more holistic sense of well-being. Not just physical health, but emotional resilience, spiritual vitality, a general flourishing for the whole family that aligns itself with these principles.
So an integrated approach to health for the household.
That's the idea presented, yes.
Okay, so let's look at the framework. It uses another acronym, right? HEALTH.
Correct. Starting with H.
Which stands for Homely Heart, Holiness. Now, this sounds similar to the last section, but different.
Slightly different emphasis. This isn't about avoiding the negatives, but actively cultivating the positives. It's not about rigid external stuff, but the document emphasizes this internal state of goodness, integrity that really impacts daily family life.
Okay, so the atmosphere of the home.
Exactly. Cultivating a peaceful, respectful atmosphere where, as the text puts it, men pray without wrath and doubting, making sure there's no anger, strife, harsh temper, and no violence within the home. It's all about that emotional climate.
Got it. What about E?
E is for expedient, essential expense. And what's really striking here is the focus on the practical, almost mundane side of things.
Like money.
Exactly. Financial transparency. The document argues a wife should not secretly spend or hide her earnings, and a husband should not make decisions without openness.
Wow. Very direct.
Very direct. It strongly emphasizes prioritizing the core needs, house rent, food, school fees, daily necessities, and warns against living only for pleasure while neglecting essential family responsibilities. It's really a call for financial stewardship and openness between partners.
Okay. HEA.
A stands for appropriate affectionate assistance.
Affectionate assistance. So helping each other out lovingly.
Precisely. It highlights the vital importance of mutual love and support, but specifically mentions doing it without grumbling or murmuring.
The attitude matters.
Absolutely. The document even quotes the famous line, "By this shall all men know that ye are my disciples, if ye have love one to another," emphasizing that how you treat each other within the family is a crucial outward sign of its health.
Right. HEAL.
L is for learning, leaving, cleaving love.
Okay, we've heard leaving and cleaving before. What's new here?
It reinforces that earlier concept, but now puts it in the context of ongoing growth, ongoing vigilance.
It's not a one-time thing.
Not at all. The text reiterates that leaving father, mother, and even friends means prioritizing the marriage relationship above all else. And it makes a very strong case that any work, relationship, or distraction that hinders the unity of the family should be left behind.
Seriously, left behind.
That's the standard it sets. It also reminds husbands to love wives as their own bodies and wives to reverence their husband, framing it all as this active, continuous commitment that needs constant attention.
Okay, so HEALT. What does this mean for just, talking to each other?
Well, T is for tender, truthful tongue.
Tender and truthful.
Yeah, it quotes Proverbs 15.1. A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. The document really stresses the profound impact our words have.
They really do.
It advocates for actively cultivating a tender and truthful tongue as absolutely essential for peace and health in the home. It's a direct appeal for thoughtful, compassionate communication.
Makes sense. Okay, final letter. H.
The last H is for hygienic, happy homeliness.
Hygienic, like cleanliness.
Yes, it's another one of those surprisingly practical details. It emphasizes cleanliness and order in the home.
Really? Why is that part of health?
The document suggests keeping the home as though a visitor were expected, but with even greater care since the husband is of higher honor than a visitor.
Wow.
So it's not just about tidiness for its own sake. It seems to speak more deeply to creating an environment of joy, respect, and dignity for the immediate family, a place where everyone feels honored and valued.
Okay, so this final health section really ties it all together. It offers this comprehensive, holistic approach.
Definitely.
To cultivating not just spiritual well-being, but also practical, emotional, and even physical health within the family unit, all, of course, from the specific perspective of this document.
It covers a lot of ground, from the spiritual right down to the tidiness of the house.
It really does. So we've journeyed through these profound insights from rights, righteousness and responsibilities in a refreshing family. We've explored its blueprint for family life, dissected its identified common pitfalls, those frustrations.
Right, the holiness acronym.
Exactly. And discovered its holistic path towards what it calls a truly refreshing home, the health framework.
Yeah, and looking back, the document consistently emphasizes things like deliberate commitment, unwavering unity, and the active cultivation of qualities like truthfulness, support, transparency. All of these principles, from this text's specific perspective, are rooted firmly in a framework of spiritual guidelines. Guidelines designed for a family not just to survive, but to actually thrive.
Right, to be refreshing.
Exactly.
So, considering the depth of these, well, ancient perspectives on marriage and family, here's something maybe for you to think about. What aspects of your own relationships, or perhaps your approach to home life, might benefit from a renewed commitment to some of these principles? Things like unity, transparency, that intentional reciprocal care we talked about. How do these ideas, coming from this specific document, maybe challenge or perhaps affirm your own understanding of what truly makes a family refreshing?